Hello, I'm Katie, and this is Stepmum Space, where each episode we talk candidly about the fairy tales and scary tales of stepmum life. So whether you've been a stepmum for years, you're just starting out, or you want to understand the stepmum in your life a little bit better, this is the place for you. Hello everybody, and welcome to, drumroll, Series 5. I am so excited to be back sharing lots of news stories with you from fabulous stepmums and some other special guests this series. Thank you so much for all the messages of support over the last few weeks, and thank you to everybody who has taken the time to drop a rating or a review on the podcast. It massively helps other women find us, so if you haven't already done so, I will be forever grateful if you could drop a rating or review wherever you listen. Now, my guest today is Jayne. Jayne is on her second stint of being a stepmum. Yes, brave lady. And she has two very different experiences of being a stepmum that she's going to share today. Just a little note before we start that in this episode we do discuss miscarriage and Jayne's emotions around not being able to become a biological mother herself. So if that's a topic which you would rather stay away from, then please head back to the catalogue and find another episode, and we send you lots and lots of love. So let's hear more from Jayne. So Jayne, thank you so much for joining me today.
That's my pleasure. Thanks for having me on.
How are you doing?
I'm good, thank you. Yeah, I'm longing for the sunshine. It's absolutely pouring here, so I'm longing for some sunshine. That's it, really.
I know, it's so miserable, isn't it? We're going away with some friends over Easter in the UK, and every time we go away with them, the weather is awful. Like, we've been on August bank holidays, and I said to my friend, I bet this Easter's going to be freezing, isn't it? Because we're all going away together, and it looks that way. So I'm fed up of it as well.
You'll have a good time anyway. Easter, yes, that's on the horizon. It's only a couple of weeks, isn't it? So yeah, I'm looking forward to that.
So Jayne, look, thank you so much for getting in touch. I think you dropped me a note on Instagram, and I was really interested by your story. There's a couple of different elements to it. So why don't you start by sharing a little bit about kind of what brought you to get in touch with me?
Yeah, I mean, I found you on LinkedIn. I'm quite active on LinkedIn, and then I started to look at the stepmom space and listen to a few episodes, and thought there was a few episodes that really hit home, and I thought, I'm not such a evil cow by having these feelings. I think mums tend to talk together, but stepmums not so much, and it just made me feel a little bit connected with the community. I was a stepmum to two children from 2007 to 2018. So I was married to their dad, obviously, for that length of time. My stepdaughter was 11 when I met them, and my stepdaughter was 8. I was very worried about meeting them. I'm a stepdaughter myself, so I did not have the best relationship with my stepdad growing up. Although now that's, I think if you can take away anything, I think when you grow up as a stepchild into an adult, then you really do realise that your step-parents have been a benefit to you. My boyfriend's stepdad, we went to school together, me and my boyfriend, and we both didn't like our stepdads. And now we really do. So, we think of them. And so, yeah, that does change. So that's something. But yeah, so I was nervous going into it, but actually had a really lovely relationship with both my stepdaughter and my stepson. I wasn't a mum when I met their dad. I really did want to be a mum, but we tried for about 5 or 6 years, and every pregnancy ended in a miscarriage. So I was quite sad about that. But for a while, I think I resented being a stepmom because I felt it wasn't the top layer of the emotion. The top layer of the emotion was, it's not fair. Why can't I be a mum? But I think it led to me feeling quite down and a bit down on, the the kids for a bit. But then I don't know what happened. I just had this thing one day and I thought, what are you doing? These little people are here, you know, appreciate what you've got, sort of thing. So yeah, that just turned it around. And I've still got a lovely, lovely relationship with both of them now. And I've been split up from their dad for 5 years.
Gosh, I'm really sorry to hear that you had to go through all of that miscarriage pain. It's something that, you know, there's a lot of women I know who listen to the podcast who do go through that. So thank you for sharing, because it's not easy to do. And I think to go through it with stepchildren is also really difficult because you're still having to do kind of all those family activities. And like you say, you know, you're not the biological mum, and it can be really, really painful. I know there's a lot of women who've been in touch saying it would be lovely to hear more stories about women who have been through that. So I do appreciate you sharing the little bit that you have. And I wonder what happened to, you know, you said you woke up and had this realization of, hang on, there are these two little people here. What sort of happened to trigger that?
I think I was just fed up of feeling so rubbish and thought that I can't do anything. You know, I can't control what my body's doing, but what can I control? What is within my control? And what is within my control is to just enjoy the time when I'm not being stepmom, you know, by going on lots of holidays and lots of, you know, evenings out and stuff like that, go to see lots of bands. And then also give my all when we have got them, because that's my chance at motherhood, if you like. So yeah, I just got fed up with feeling sorry for myself.
Yeah, and like understandable to feel in that position and that kind of out of control feeling of, you know, I think we kind of grow up thinking, oh, if you work hard and you try hard at something, you can make it happen. And then when you can't either fall pregnant or when pregnancies don't result in, you know, healthy babies at the end of it, it can be so hard to not kind of beat yourself up and blame yourself and all of that. And just awful. So to be able to kind of turn that around and within yourself say, well, hang on a minute, I can't control that, but I can control this, is incredibly courageous of you.
Thank you. But I just think I don't know, you just have it, that's under your control. You can't control everything, you know, make it as best as you can. You're in charge of your own life, really. Not every circumstance, but how you react to it and how much joy you squeeze out of it. Yeah, that's how it was. And I did spend a long time thinking, well, I just don't deserve to be a mum then. I just would be a psycho, you know, I'd just be weird and, you know, I'd be a terrible mum and that's why. You know, there's all of that goes through your head. But then you think, no, I'm not having that. I'm not like going to take that. I'm going to show, you know, my maternal side with these two wonderful kids.
So when you met your first husband, your stepchildren were 11 and 8, I think you said. And how was it kind of getting to know them and going through that?
So we waited 8 months actually before I met them. So that was quite a while. It was really cute. And we went to the cinema actually. And I remember my stepdaughter was 11 and she had this massive smile on her face as she came towards me. And they both gave me a hug and then went in the cinema and I bought them sweets. And I was talking to my stepdaughter about her SAT results she just got. That was on the Friday night. And then on the Saturday night, I went back round because on the Friday night, my stepson had been going on about this huge can of Heinz tomato soup that was only 67p. So I said, oh, shall I bring one of those cans of soup round and shall we have that for lunch? And he was like, yeah. So I did that. And then me and my ex-husband drove to meet his ex-wife to drop the kids off. And they leant forward and gave me a hug and a kiss. And she was behind in the car. And that was the last time they gave me a kiss till they were really a lot older, because I think they got back in the car and their mum was upset by that. So, and they're very loyal to both their mum and their dad throughout the whole of the separation. They both have been really loyal. So, yeah. So, but that was fine because I knew it wasn't them per se. So I had lovely, and then we gradually did things. So then we rented a house and they gradually came round one night and then another night, and then they wanted to come all the time. So yeah, it was a really nice sort of transition.
And what was it like with them mum? Because you mentioned that they, the last time they gave you a hug and a kiss was the first time they gave you a hug and a kiss for some time.
So I think she was actually, at first she was okay about me meeting their dad. And then I think I've got friends that are parents that have had step parents. I've listened to the mum on your podcast. I know you're a mum and a stepmum, and so I understand that now we're looking back on it. She obviously was very scared and apprehensive about another woman spending time with her kids, and so for about 2 years it was quite difficult. So she'd phone my ex-husband up having a drama with my stepdaughter because she was a teenager, and that's just what teenage girls do. They play their mum up, don't they, or their dad up. That's just what they do. But I think she had some sort of regret. But then she met someone, and then, like I've heard so many other people say, then she met someone and she was really happy then, and everything was fine with her. It was okay. But I think by then my stepkids were in that sort of routine where they didn't really do the hugs and kisses, only on birthdays and Christmas. I got so much from them anyway. It didn't have to be in that form of affection. I got a lot more from them just from being with them, and good conversations and fun and playing games and stuff, going on holiday with them. So it didn't matter to me so much.
And I can see, obviously people will be listening to this conversation, but I'm looking at you, which is lovely, and I can kind of just see like that warmth and the smile when you come to talk to them. So you obviously had a really close relationship with them. They brought you a lot of joy.
And they still do.
You want to take a break?
Yeah, just a minute.
Yeah, it's okay. Don't worry.
I was worried about this.
Don't be. It's tough to talk about.
Yeah.
And those emotions just come. We can take a break if you want.
No, I'll be all right. Right. Sorry, as you were saying.
Don't worry. No, we were just talking about how, they've obviously brought a lot to your life.
Yes, they have. Yeah. And they still do.
And so you mentioned that you're no longer married to their dad. Do you mind me asking what happened there?
No. So in early 2018, it wasn't great over Christmas, and I thought something was wrong, and I had shingles. I got shingles, didn't know what it was, and then got diagnosed in the new year. We tried to talk about it, but he didn't want to talk about it. Anyway, one Friday night I said, right, shall we have a chat then? And he sat down and just said, I don't think our marriage is working anymore. And I felt relief and said, oh, neither do I. So we basically split up. As it turned out, he had met someone else. The only thing that broke me was thinking about what would happen with my stepdaughter and stepson.
And I guess at that time, they must have been
22 and 19.
Yeah, okay.
I did my maths before the session.
So your husband says he thinks the marriage is over. You feel relief, which is interesting actually, because a lot of people I've spoken to through kind of personal relationships and other work have said relief is the number one emotion they've felt when, and I think, if you're in a marriage that isn't healthy, we always feel like, oh, we need to stay, we need to work on it, and you can spend years of your life, and then almost that relief when it's like, oh, I don't have to do that anymore is amazing.
Yeah, it really was. And that's right. I mean, it wasn't working, and I would never have left. I thank my lucky stars to this day that he met this other person, because I would never have left, because I just thought, I'm married. If anything's wrong with the marriage, it's probably me. So I better try and fix it. And so, I would never have left. And thank God it was that way round as well, because what it allowed was for my stepdaughter and stepson to not feel any animosity towards me. If it was me that had left, then they might have felt animosity towards me. So in a way, it was like the most perfect beginning of our new relationship and the end of my relationship with their dad.
I guess because they were adults, then it made it easier to carry on
100%.
having a relationship. So you said you were kind of worried about how they would take it and how the relationship would pan out. And it's interesting because I hear from a lot of women who will say if they don't have a baby with their partner and they worry about them and their partner splitting up in the future and losing touch with these children that they've invested so much time in. And it is like a really understandable concern. So talk us through kind of how the separation landed with your stepkids and where your relationship went from there.
So my ex-husband was super private and had to do everything like in his own time. So I couldn't tell anyone. I couldn't contact them. I went away for a weekend a couple of weeks later and he told me he was going to tell them that weekend. And then I left it another 2 weeks because I wanted them to just settle with it. And then I sent them a text message one Friday night after half a bottle of wine. Not the greatest thing to do, but anyway, it was. And they both messaged me back, lovely messages. My stepson said, I cried when Dad told me. I don't know if he told you. Of course he wouldn't have told me. I then arranged to see them. So I arranged to see my stepdaughter first. I think my stepson was quite upset. And when I saw her and I met her and I said, look, I know what's happening. I know why me and your dad split up. I'm absolutely fine with it. My big concern is you and your brother. She said, he'll be so relieved that you're okay. He's been really worried about you. So that was sweet. Then 2 days later, I saw them both together. And by then they'd met this other woman. I mean, this was like 4 weeks after we'd broken up.
And you were married for over a decade.
Yeah. Well, we were married for, almost a decade. We were together for like 12 years. And it was like 6 months off our 10-year. And through all their formative years and everything. And that's a whole other story, Katie. And I don't want to spend this time talking about that. But they basically, since then, we've just made it work. Like, I don't see them on Christmas Day or Boxing Day, but I will see them around Christmas time and we will exchange gifts and we will do something nice. We always make time around each other's birthdays, even if it's 2 or 3 weeks after the event to celebrate the birthday. Me and my stepdaughter share everything. Like we're totally open with each other. Yeah, it's better than I could ever have imagined because I'm me again. I'm back to me as well. So I can buy them what I like, or not that I'm not reckless like that, but I can treat them how I want to treat them instead of standing behind their dad and doing what their dad says. I can do what I want to do with them. So I feel more authentic actually, and they still call me their stepmum.
That's really nice. Yeah. I think it'd be such a relief to so many people to hear that. And I think gorgeous that your stepson was worried about you. And probably for them, they may have had thoughts in their head of, well, is she still going to be interested in being with us if she's not married to our dad anymore?
My stepdaughter said to me, her dad said, once Jayne's moved on, you'll lose contact with her. And I said, I'm really sorry, but I won't, because you're the closest thing to children that I've got and you mean the world to me. So no. And they both said to me, you'll always be our stepmom. So yeah, it's nice. I feel so lucky. Yeah, so lucky. They're such fun and they're so together and yeah, I love it.
And you've got to take some credit for that because like you say, you were around a lot in their formative years and obviously for them to want to keep in touch with you. I mean, there's quite a few biological kids who don't keep in touch with their biological parents that much as adults. So testament to all the work that you put in, for sure.
Yeah. When I've been thinking about talking to you today, then things come up, when you get frustrated, like a normal mum, like a real biological mum, I should say, not normal, like a biological mum. My friend today's been saying she's having trouble with her kids. And then I've just thought, yeah, there were issues and there were times where, I don't know what, I remember, I don't even, if my stepdaughter daughter ever listens to this, I don't know if she'll ever remember, but my grandma gave me some lovely white towels, and I couldn't find this white towel. And I went hunting, and I went in my stepdaughter's wardrobe, and it was like she'd hennaed her hair, and it was all over this bloody towel.
Oh, God.
And I remember swearing and going, for heaven's sake, pulling it out of the wardrobe. She wasn't there, she was with her mum. And then, it washed, it all came out in the wash. But, you still have those moments. There were still those rows where my stepson was horrible to his sister, and then I would jump in, and they would, there's still crappy times, aren't there, when it's not all great. But I think it's testament to, our resilience that we maintain a lovely relationship. Yeah.
Yeah, and all families have crappy times. I remember talking when we were in a really tricky time in our family, and talking to a friend of mine, and just really, really, really finding it difficult. And she was like, that's just family. Like, don't get confused between what's a family thing and what's a step thing. But all the complexities come because you feel disempowered to handle it in the way that you might do if it were a biological child. And that it can be really confronting to have somebody say to you that's not a step issue, that's a family issue. But it is actually quite liberating as well at the same time.
Yeah, honestly, I feel like that myself at the moment as well, which I won't go into, but I've got a similar situation right here. And I just think the generations, it is normal lack of communication, that it's really hard. I think I'm a really good communicator, but when it comes to communicating with a teenager, it's so hard. And they don't want to hear it, and they've got different priorities, and they should have different priorities than a 50-year-old woman, but it's so difficult, isn't it, when it doesn't matter if you're biological or non-biological, the issues are the same.
So Jayne, it's amazing to hear that you've been able to maintain that relationship, and you can do that independent of anything to do with your ex-husband. So you mentioned you've moved on and you're in a new relationship now. Can you tell us a little bit about that?
Yeah, so I met my current partner, met him at a school reunion in 2018, and we were childhood girlfriend and boyfriend, first loves and everything from like 14 to 17, and then we split up. Then we met at the reunion, and both our marriages were broken, and just started seeing each other again.
That's such a sweet story. And do you know what? It's so funny because I was speaking to a lady last week, I think, who had the same situation, childhood sweethearts. And then, and we always say to our teenagers, oh, this isn't going to be the love of your life. You have to, but sometimes it does end up like that. That's so gorgeous. So you obviously had your 2 stepchildren that you brought into that relationship. And did he have kids?
Yeah, he's got 3 kids. So he's got 2 daughters and a son, and the son is 17 now. He was 13. His youngest daughter was 15, and his oldest daughter was 19 when we first got together. They all lived with their mum, but his son and his dad were really always close, always doing everything together. His mum kicked him out when he was 13, so he went to live with his dad.
And was that before you had met him, or just as you met him?
No, I didn't meet him until he was living with his dad, I don't think. No.
Gosh, so at the time when you guys got together, there was 2 daughters living with mum. Son had just been kicked out of his mum's home. I guess there must be a bit of a backstory to that.
Well, I mean, he played her up. He just played her up. He's a spirited boy. Yeah, he rubbed his mum up the wrong way, and she couldn't deal with it. She kicked him out, and he didn't speak to her for quite a few months. Then he was only, say he's only 13. He was okay at home. About 6 months later, he just, like all kids, didn't want to play football anymore, didn't want to do cricket anymore, just wanted to hang out with his mates. And they all did. They all left at the same time, and then they all started being lads and affecting schoolwork, really. So yeah,
difficult.
became quite difficult for his dad to manage.
And then at what point did you move in?
So they used to come and see me. So I had my own house and they would come and see me some weekends. And I had a cat who'd got run over when I moved out of my marital home into the new house. And so she had a bad leg. She couldn't go out anywhere. And one Christmas, they came up. Oh, just after Christmas, we had a Christmas do with my stepchildren. And then on the next day, they were going back. And I was like, well, I can't come because I can't take my cat. And then my boyfriend's son said, well, why don't you move in with us?
Wow.
So that made me cry, as you can see. I cry quite. I'm a crier. Yeah. He said to his dad on the way home, "Why did Jayne cry?" And he said, "Because she's happy that you said that." So yeah, it was all sort of fine for 6 months or something. Very different. Like my new partner is so the complete opposite of my ex-husband. Complete opposite. Therefore, there's going to be different ways of bringing up your kids. Then things got quite difficult where he was really playing up at school. Obviously, he was affected. There was lots going on in his head and he was hormones, parents break up. Obviously, the effect of being thrown out by his mum would have made him feel quite insecure. But it was really hard. Then we went into lockdown and then he went and moved back in with his mum in the May of 2020. Just went, just didn't tell us, just went. Yeah. And then my boyfriend's ex-wife said, he's come back to live with me. He didn't want to upset you. And my boyfriend was like, well, no, it's fine. Whatever makes him happy. I want him to be happy, sort of thing. And then a year and 2 months later, she kicked him out again.
We never want to apply judgment, but I'm interested in what the behavior was that then made her kick him out for a second time.
I think it's similar behavior. It's behavior that no one can seem to not control him, but get through to him to make him see sense sometimes. And I think he's difficult. He's a difficult character. Teenage rubbish. And if you can't deal with it as a parent, then, what do you do?
And it's true, we do say that on this show that you often get quite ineffective parents, male and female. Not every parent is created equally, and that can be to do with a whole host of things. So, okay, so he comes to you and he's, by this point, around 16?
He just turned 16.
And you've had kind of a couple of years of living with your partner in couples cohabiting, reunited after all these years, probably quite blissful. And then suddenly teenager living with you. What happened?
Well, I'd started a job. I was working from home then. So I was a bit stressed because I needed somewhere to work. And I was working in the only spare bedroom, which then became his bedroom. So it was okay. We made it work, but so much has happened, Katie, and I don't know if I really want to go into all of the detail because he's just gone back to being quite difficult and you can't talk any sense into him and he knows best. And I go into my office in the morning and then he'll wait till I've gone in my office and then he'll go out and get some food. Then he will just avoid me at every single opportunity. So it's like, I've got a friend who said that's just what teenagers are like, but it's horrible living in that like that with someone when I sort of have good relationships with everybody in my life, but with him I feel like I'm failing. I just don't know what to do. And so I'm always going on at my other half going, well, you need to say this and you need to say that, because he just says nothing. And hence why we are now seeking guidance from a counsellor to help us, because it's just really hard. And there's times when I've thought, I can't do this. I need to move out. I literally need to move out. And he's like, I can't do anything about it, Jayne. He's my son and his mum's kicked him out. I don't ever want to do that. But it's just it's just not a nice family warm atmosphere.
And that's hard, especially after coming from such a good relationship with your stepchildren.
Yeah.
So where do you go from here then?
I think we just need to keep seeing the counsellor, and I need to, again, do you know what? I need to do what I did all those years ago when I couldn't be a mum. I need to control what I can control, you know? And that's what I'm doing for a living, building my business, you know, making sure my relationship with my boyfriend's good, making sure my relationship with all the other offspring in my life is good. That's all I can do. And just, I need to get to the point with the counsellor where I trust in what my partner's going to do to deal with his son. And then I just need to sort of step away from that. At the moment, that's all I can do, because I can't control his attitude or what he does. And you shouldn't have to control anyone, but yeah, I need to control my own emotions towards it. That's all I can do right now.
It's so much easier said than done.
Because, yeah, I mean, I don't feel like I'm there at all, but yeah, that's all I can do. Like I said earlier, remember what I was like, remember how I felt towards my stepdad, and just, I guess, draw the line. Just all I need to do is make sure that I am not being taken the piss out of, excuse my French. I'm not being taken the mickey out of, but I'm giving him a stable home, which, you know, a 17-year-old needs. That's all I can do. The practical things. I don't have to give the emotional things in this relationship in my life. You know, I give emotion in all my relationships in my life, and this one is just one that I don't seek to get anything in return. I just do the basics, clean his clothes, make sure there's food in the house. You know, that's it, I think.
Yeah, and that all makes sense, and not seeking anything in return is absolutely fine. But it's when you get, and I hear it from a lot of the women that I work with, it's when you get those like negatives coming back on you. So you're not sort of seeking anything, but you feel on edge. Like, you know, you're in a situation where you feel like he's not going to come in the room and say, "Oh, morning, Jayne, do you want a cuppa?" He's going to wait until you're out of the room before he comes and makes you breakfast. And that kind of treading on eggshells in your own home is sadly really common, but it shouldn't be. But it's not good. Like, it can be so detrimental to have that.
Yeah.
And are you finding that you're getting the support from your partner?
It's really tricky. We're working through supporting each other in the counselling. That's what's happening at the moment. We're getting a deeper understanding of how each other's head works, and it's work in progress, Katie.
Yeah. Well, look, thank you so much for talking to me today. And I know we've covered a lot of quite tricky topics in a really short amount of time. So I really, really appreciate your openness and honesty. And I know there'll be a lot of people listening who will as well. So thank you so much, Jayne.
Thank you for having me on.
Oh, I hope you enjoyed that one. I have to say, Jayne is a brave woman for facing into what she's going through in the way she is. It can be so hard for stepmums to sit back and keep quiet when we think our partner's parenting could do with a little improvement, let's say. I really wish Jayne all the luck in the world. Now, there was a lot of chat in that episode as well around getting back in control of your feelings and in control of your situation. Feeling out of control is one of the things that comes up time and time again, which is why it's one of the key topics that we cover in the Stepmum Space workshop. And it is a real game changer when you master how to do it. So some sessions have sold out, but there is still limited availability. So if you're interested in booking or finding out more, then head to www.stepmumspace.com/workshops. I'm not going to be running any more until after the summer holidays, so this is your last chance to get yourself booked on. I'm going to be back next week with another new episode, but in the meantime, if you want to find out more, head to www.stepmumspace.com or connect on the socials at stepmumspace. And of course, if you've got a story to share, please do get in touch. I would love to hear from you.